Hello, this is our fourth video in this series that will cover normal pool maintenance procedures and some basic pool chemistry. We call this our top 7 list of what you should know. Number 1, with or without using PoolRx, you should practice normal pool maintenance procedures. You need to test your water weekly and maintain balanced pool water chemistry. Normal ranges are as follows. For pH, 7.2 to 7.8. Alkalinity, 80 to 120. Cyanuric acid, 20 to 80. Free chlorine minimum, 0.5 to 1 part per million for residential. For commercial, 1 part to 5 part per million. You should have proper size filtration for your pool. You need to run your circulation pump long enough to turn your water over at least 1.5 times per day. And the pump should be running during the heat of the day. No matter what products you're using, if you don't keep your water within normal ranges, you'll eventually run into problems. Normal pool maintenance procedures also suggest you test your water at least once a year for minerals and metals and address those potential problems immediately. Number 2, you need to understand that PoolRx is adding chelated minerals to the water. The most active ingredient is copper sulfate pentahydrate. Even though it is chelated, this will add to the water's copper saturation index. This means in the rare event you have non-chelated copper in the water and add PoolRx, your existing non-chelated copper will be more susceptible to fallout due to saturation, over-oxidation, or pH fluctuation. Understand that our unique chelating process protects PoolRx from fallout and staining, even in the toughest water conditions. In fact, the minerals are so protected that they will not show up on typical metal or mineral reagent test kits. If, when you test the water, you find it already has existing non-chelated copper and/or other minerals or metals in it, normal procedures suggest you get those minerals and metals out of the water, regardless if you're using PoolRx or not. Now, if you have metals in the water, we suggest using a product called Cu-Lator by Periodic Products. Unlike a sequestrant, this product is a polymer bag that drops in the skimmer and physically pulls the metals completely out of the water. So if necessary, use prior to installing PoolRx. Number 3, PoolRx minerals allow chlorine to be more active and available in the water. So be cautious adding PoolRx to a pool with high chlorine levels. The PoolRx minerals make chlorine hyperactive and thus more corrosive. If you have a high chlorine content in the water and you add PoolRx, the highly active chlorine can do a couple things. It can knock existing non-chelated metals out of solution. For example, brown staining on the surface is typically caused from high iron content in the water that was oxidized out. Also, because of how active PoolRx makes chlorine, in a few very rare instances, right after installation, we've heard of blonde-haired people getting green hair. The simple remedy is to lower chlorine levels before installing PoolRx. You can add PoolRx to a pool with a higher chlorine residual than what is suggested and maintain higher levels as well. But understand that minerals will allow that chlorine to be very active. Number 4, total dissolved solids, or TDS, and saturation point. TDS is a measure of how old the water is or how much chemical has been added to the water. When the water has reached saturation point, this means the TDS has become too high. Normally, with a TDS around 5,000 parts per million, nothing more can dissolve into the water. When treating a pool with high TDS, it will take more of everything to keep it clear and balanced. So you've reached a case of diminishing returns. Nothing ends up working in the pool. Adding PoolRx to a pool that has reached saturation point may not work, as the minerals may not be able to dissolve into solution and will then stay in granular form and can attach to the calcium buildup on the surface, causing a bluing effect. Your water chemistry may be in perfect balance. However, if the TDS has reached saturation point, it doesn't matter. Keep in mind the additional cost for a pool owner or service company to treat a pool with high TDS is so much higher than draining the pool and starting with fresh water. Number 5, too much cyanuric acid. High cyanuric acid levels greatly affect your total alkalinity readings, so it's important to calculate your adjusted total alkalinity and keep it within normal ranges. CYA normal ranges are 20 to 80 ppm. If you allow CYA levels to get well above the 100 plus range and you don't take into account your CYA number, your alkalinity reading will be off and the water will be out of balance. When water is out of balance, it will attempt to balance itself and drop out of solution whatever is in excess in the water. When cyanuric precipitates out, it can coagulate the copper minerals, causing a purple dust to form and stick to surfaces. If this happens, we recommend draining or partially draining the pool. Once the cyanuric levels are within normal ranges and the water is balanced, the purple dust will dissolve back into the water. If the cyanuric level is high, use liquid chlorine until the cyanuric level gets back into normal ranges. With PoolRx, you only need a chlorine minimum of 0.5 to 1 part per million in a residential pool. This is about 1 trichlor tab per 10,000 gallons of water per week in the summer. This reduction in tabs will save you money and also help reduce your cyanuric buildup. PoolRx allows for a wide margin for error in your water chemistry and water balance, but everything has its limits. The only time you may run into problems with PoolRx is if you allow your water chemistry to get drastically out of balance and/or your water to get completely saturated. Number 6, do not use PoolRx with fish. PoolRx minerals have been NSF 60 certified, a drinking water standard. PoolRx is completely safe for your family and pets and any other mammals, birds, etc. But remember, mammals and fish react completely differently to minerals and chlorine. Number 7, do not use PoolRx with bromine or biguanides. If you do, you may notice a yellow tinge to the water and/or foaming. This would be more typical in smaller bodies of water, like spas and fountains, for example. In those cases, we recommend to drain and refill before adding PoolRx. Also, don't use with sodium bromide. If you've been using sodium bromide in a pool, wait at least 2 weeks before using PoolRx. If you are using Cal Hypo Shock, follow the directions and dissolve the Cal Hypo in a bucket of water before pouring in the pool. Please check out our 5th video in this series on what will PoolRx do for you, or for more information on PoolRx, please visit PoolRx.com. You can also email us at info@PoolRx.com or call us at 800-3-PoolRx. Thank you for watching.